Our top stories this morning. Governor Obiano charges community leaders to intensify fight against crime in their communities. Property worth millions got fire at inland town Onitsha. Hello, good morning and welcome to Breakfast News this morning. I am David Obowasele. The Anambra state government has presented certificates of recognition to the traditional ruler-elect of Omonachi in Dunkafi Council area, Igwe Ben Anochie. In a similar development, a traditional ruler of Ochuchu Modo in Obaru Council area, Igwe Vincent Ijoma, also was presented his certificate of recognition by the Anambra state government. The presentation was performed by Governor Willie Obiano at the Governor's Lodge, Amobia, in a brief ceremony. Government House correspondent Eji Kabana was there and now reports.
The ceremony was attended by commissioners and other top government functionaries, a host of traditional rulers, members of the State Assembly, and other stakeholders in the state. The certificates bring to 55 the number of certificates presented to traditional rulers by the present administration. Governor Obiano asked the traditional rulers to use the opportunity offered by the government recognition to enthrone lasting peace in Obaru. The governor expressed optimism that stakeholders and all community members will rally round the traditional rulers-elect in the state government's quest to foster increased development in communities of the state. He pointed out that the state government continue to do their bit to meaningfully keep the youth in check. They should replicate same in their communities by setting up committees for such purpose.
This certificate I'm presenting to you this afternoon is a certificate that should enable you bring your people together. Very important. It's not a certificate that will enable you destroy your people. The second one is what Abogidi alluded to with respect to youth. We have had very serious challenges in cultism among the youths. The youth sooner. What is very important.
The Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Chief Greg Obi, said that the governor makes such presentations because he understands the importance of the role of the traditional institution. He explained that Ochuche doesn't have a constitution other than an agreement dated 1977, advising them to do so to prevent future skirmishes, stressing that the state government has set up a committee who sat and made recommendations which brought the day to limelight. On the case of Omonachi, Chief Obi pointed out that they had a traditional ruler from 1977 to 2006, asking everyone to shun instigating internal strife in their communities because the state government has the powers to suspend or dethrone such traditional ruler as the security of the state remain paramount.
The internal strife, any certificate, let's chapter that instead of using that certificate for peace in the community, community or among the other towns. Daniel might hesitate. I personally would not hesitate to recommend to His Excellency suspend such a person.
In a comment, the chairman Anambra State Traditional Rulers Council, Igwe Alfred Achebe, asked the new traditional rulers to rule with patience, peace, and tolerance. The traditional rulers said that they will hit the ground running and promise to initiate ideas that will positively benefit their communities, carrying everyone along.
Justice and equity. When there's justice and equity, there will be peace. And when there's peace, there will be progress. Like he said, investing on the youth. And investing on the future of the community.
We are going to work seriously on the unity issue in a town and bring them together. People who are not smiling today, it's our function, it's our main duty now to put smiles on their faces.
Traditional music rendered the air as everyone danced in jubilation.
That report by Eji Kabana was taken from our studio. We'll move on now. The Anambra State Government and Rotec Energy Services Limited have sealed a partnership of over 4.3 billion naira to enhance provision of infrastructure at Nkwele Zunanka, Oyi local government area to reduce the state's long-term housing deficit. They propose to be given 50 hectares of land, while the state government has offered an initial 25 hectares. Government House correspondent Eji Kabana reports that while Governor Willie Obiano signed on behalf of the state government, Chief Austin Ogwejof was signed on behalf of Rotec Energy Services Limited at the government house, Oka. The report is taken from here.
Seeks to build about 500 units of houses of 4-bedroom duplex with 2-bedroom boys' quarters, 5-bedroom duplex with 2-bedroom boys' quarters, among other social amenities, and has a 30-month completion period. Governor Willie Obiano said the Memorandum of Understanding on the partnership would hopefully go a long way in helping to scale up municipal infrastructure, increase revenues, and generally make life more comfortable for residents of the state.
We always try to make sure that the host community benefits from the investment in their area by, setting aside a certain percentage from the profit sharing in perpetuity, so long as that business is there. So that will give a buy-in to the community to support the projects.
The Managing Director of Anambra State Investments Promotion and Protection Agency, Mr. Jide Ikako, said that the firm seeks to provide an estate to enhance infrastructural development in collaboration with the Ministries of Housing, Lands, and the Attorney General's Office. Given details, Mr. Ikako said the first phase of the construction will provide jobs for about 200 in the Anambra and has a profit-sharing formula of 18% for the state, 80% for the company, and 2% for the host community.
This is a 50-hectare development that will be phased, with the first phase of 25 hectares kicking off. The project will not just boost the construction industry in Anambra, but it will also help to bridge the housing deficit, as well as giving jobs to at least 200 people during the construction phase.
For his part, the Commissioner for Housing and Urban Development, Architect Mike Okonkwo, expressed excitement with the partnership, saying that it is in line with state government's pillar of development to provide affordable housing options for all status, as well as inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities that open new markets and create opportunities for all.
You clearly stated that your administration will make Anambra a more viable urban community by producing decent housing and suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities for low and moderate income persons, as well as rich and high income persons.
Earlier, while describing the company as a corporate and experienced indigenous firm, the chairman of Rotec Energy Services Limited, Chief Ogwe Jiofo, noted that the objective of his firm, in line with the governor's Think Home philosophy, is to support Anambra State's efforts to improve living conditions, expand and renew its infrastructure, as well as help reinforce Anambra's position as an attractive investment destination in Nigeria. He hinted that they had previously constructed over 5,000 housing units during the federal government's housing scheme, as well as housing units for staff and members of the ICPC, saying that they had already started work on the Nkwele Zunaka site with commitment to complete it within the specified period.
Rotec Energy Services Limited is a corporate and experienced indigenous company with vast experience in real estate development, general construction, and property management.
Architect Michael Okonkwo to give his coming to the end of the session.
We move on now to environment, where the Ministry of Environment has launched a 6-month environmental action campaign aimed at keeping Anambra State clean. The campaign tagged Dobe Anambra was flagged off during a press conference held at the office of the Commissioner of Environment, Mr. Obiwankwo in Oka. Correspondent Chukwuemeka Modelen was there and now reports.
Mr. Wankwo, who said Anambra State government by the campaign has declared a state of emergency on waste management and environment in the state, explained that the program will arrest serious environmental challenges confronting Anambra State and accelerate the activities of the ministry in terms of evacuation of refuse and cleanliness of the state. Mr. Wankwo noted that the program, which will last for 6 months, is in line with the mandate given to them by Governor Willie Obiano to clean up Anambra State and inculcate the habit of environmental cleanliness on the people. He assured that in the next 6 months, Anambra State will witness increased efforts of the ministry in waste collection and management, improved enlightenment and citizen education in the area of waste management. Mr. Nwankwo also revealed that the ministry will soon make public their objectives for the state, which will make remarkable difference in environmental care and waste management when it is actualized. He charged the people to always bag all refuse and waste before taking to waste collection point and ensure that wastes are dumped in designated areas, among others, as stipulated by law, adding that defaulters will be punished accordingly.
You're supposed to make sure that your drainage is clean, all the overgrown grasses around you is clean. And if you don't do that, give you a ticket, give you 1 week to do that, after which the court will write you, because we must send you to court immediately.
On his part, the Secretary of Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, Anambra State Chapter, Mr. Bernard Ikechukwu, who lauded the Obiano administration for initiating the Anambra State Environmental Action Campaign, added that they have keyed fully into the program to ensure that all the set goals will be achieved.
We are keying in fully into this program to ensure that all the goals set out is being achieved.
During the press conference, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Environment, Mr. Chinedu Edozie, donated a vehicle to the ministry to assist them in the supervision of waste and disposal in the state. In Oka, Chukwuemeka Modelem, ABS News.
On health now, enrollment into Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme has continued with more agencies keying into the initiative. The enrollment, which is web-based with biometric capturing, has over 40,000 registered persons across the state who are already accessing quality health care. Correspondent Valentine Mbadala reports. The next story, we're sorry we're not going to bring you that. Property worth millions of naira has been gutted by fire in Onitsha, rendering over 4 families homeless. The inferno, which started a few minutes before 8 o'clock last night, destroyed a 14-room and parlor bungalow situated at St. Stephen's Road, inland town, Onitsha. Correspondent Mengina Osadebo was at the scene of the fire disaster, from where she relates the story.
Said bungalow, which was a family house belonging to the Njaka family of Oboabo village, Onitsha, was destroyed beyond repair. Sympathizers were trooping in and out of the compound as family members were counting their losses. Speaking to the ABS, a retired editor of National Light newspaper, Mr. Oke Njaka, and retired railway officer, Mr. Opuruli Njaka, recounted that the incident took them unawares and they were unable to save any of their belongings, saying that the fire was so intense that it escalated into all their rooms immediately. They noted that the cause of the outbreak is said to be ascertained, as there was power outage in the area.
I didn't surprise. However, we key if a man, other than Oko. Nothing also gallery staircase. Okomewo. Pedicure glass and Almacum. Nute.
Back and no, anali kunis window there. So in Janaba, no. I know the neighbor, see about Nanyanu, Amulujuni, Runo, Aba, Botazamba, Tuja Batanyabo, Kunaga Kago, Campania Mamma, go where Amulupuchi, Bapatanilo, the Madu Tibenku.
On their parts, their elder brother, who is a retired officer with Old NEPA, Mr. Lawrence Njaka, and a retired local government worker, Mr. Onyebuchi Njaka, said they heard someone shouting from within the building, alerting the public of outbreak. But before they knew it, the fire has engulfed the whole building. They commended the effort of some youths who came to help them before the arrival of the firefighters after 1 hour, adding that their wives and children were not around to salvage their property. One of their sons, Mr. Chike Njaka, who regretted that they are now homeless, pointed out that the building is their only hope as they all live with their aged parents and children, and solicited for assistance from government and spirited individuals.
So biko na ife na yo n'ebe na state government no bụ na gịnị me dan ebe na ọ ka mma dana vazola anyị ndụ kịta anụ nwa na anyị dị ndụ because na ebe na arapụkwu anyị nwa obele oge amụrụ condition na anyị ga-anọ n'ime ya.
Emengini Osadebe, ABS News.
All right, and finally this morning, 3 persons convicted of drug peddling and serving their prison terms in different prison formations in Anambra State have had their state pardon cancelled for what was described as the heinous nature of their crimes. The Presidential Committee on Prisons Reforms and Decongestion was in the state to perfect the pardon process for those who were sentenced to serve different terms in prison with an option of fine and have had their fines paid by the Anambra State government. The report is here. Federal Capital Territory, Justice Ichak Bello refused to grant the pardon after reviewing the warrant and considering the dangers that drug pose to society, especially to young people. Justice Bello said the reversal of the pardon will help deter members of the public who may want to venture into trafficking drugs and hope to receive state pardon when sentenced. Those affected are Mr. Ugochukwu Okafo, sentenced to 2 years imprisonment for possessing 225 grams of cannabis sativa, one Chimezi Okafo, sentenced for possessing large quantities of methamphetamine, popularly called Murummili, and cocaine, and 18-year-old Paul Odo, who was sentenced to serve a 4-year term for possessing 320 grams of cannabis sativa. However, one Mr. Izuchukwu Obuanam, a 20-year-old boy from Enugu State who sold marijuana and has almost outserved his 2-year term, was pardoned. Also, it was a moment of untold joy for 19-year-old Kosuchukwu Keke, who was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for stealing 120,000 naira to pay his school fees. Some Tochukwu had his sentencing cancelled for him to go back to school, write his senior secondary school certificate examination, and have his school fees paid by a non-governmental organization through the Attorney General of the state. Meanwhile, the committee chairman, Justice Bello, further explained that prisoners with mental conditions called psychosis or other forms of mental ill health who do not have members of their families who will claim them will not also be pardoned, to avoid releasing them into the streets where they may become vulnerable to crime or pose dangers to members of the society.
We are able to release all in all 7 persons here who merited enjoying such respite, going by our terms of reference.
Also, the committee had some persons awaiting trial for between 3 and 8 years because they lack lawyers that will defend their cases, assigned defense lawyers through the state judiciary, Ministry of Justice, or through the non-governmental organization Legal Aid Initiative. The Presidential Committee on Prisons Reforms and Decongestion, who were accompanied to the assignment by the Chief Judge of Anambra State, Justice Ijem Onwamwebu, and the Attorney General of the State, Dr. Mrs. Ujunwogo, had pardoned 4,000 prisoners across the Federation, with Anambra State being the 14th state they will be visiting. Their mandate is to pardon prisoners who were sentenced to prison with an option of fine, age challenges, illness that is assessed to be beyond the capacity of the Welfare Department of the Nigerian Prison Service, facilitate the release of those who have stayed beyond the number of years of their prison sentence, and the assignment of lawyers to those who are awaiting trial but could not afford the services of a defense lawyer. In Oka, I am David Okwasele for ABS News. Remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by liking our Facebook page at ABS Radio Television. Subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/ABS Radio TV Online. Follow us on Twitter at ABS Radio TV and on Instagram at ABS Radio TV. You can also log on to our website at www.absradiotv.com. All right, before we go, here are the main points of the news again. Governor Obiano has charged community leaders to intensify fight against crime in their communities. We also told you that property worth millions has been gutted by fire at inland town Onitsha. And that is the breakfast news at this time. I am David Okwakwasile, thanking you for joining us this morning.